This is for Hazem Ameen. Okay, so the first thing that I would say right off the bat is that you want to really work on the anatomy. Um, the problem that you have is the way your figure is kind of built. Um, there's a lot of issues with it here. So let's take a look at it. Um, Let me grab a different color here. Green green should pop out. Okay, so I'm building, you build this wide body torso like so, and which is fine. And you're building your neck, which is very small, and then kind of putting this torso up, and that's okay. But look at the twist of the torso. Um, it's the upper torso is twisting away while the lower torso is twisting towards you, and I think that's a big issue. The other thing is the way it's twisting, your arm pivot would come over here more, and this one would be more hidden. So if you're building kind of this pectoral base here, um, this arm would come up over here more like this, and then come forward more. Um, and then you would build in your lats accordingly. I would probably thin out the waist a little bit to give them a little bit wider look up on top. And then the forward movement, so if you look here, you've got the shoulder popping way out, and it wouldn't pop out, it would go forward because you're moving the arm forward. And then you get more of a tube here with this, and then your forearm would be straight up like this, more like so. And then you'd see probably more of the elbow up here. And then that would give you more cause for the fist, which I think would be a lot bigger than what it is. You want to exaggerate that foreshortening a little bit more. And then here, because the torso is twisted, you want to hide more of the shoulder, and then this arm gets really thin, really small, and so you want to build that out a little bit more. And if you're building this around here, you want to build it over like so. So a little bit more forward, because right now it looks like this gun is too heavy for him, and it's almost sagging. And then when you build in the pelvis like this, you want to have more of the perspective of your character, so a bigger knee up here, and define the knee a little bit more, and then it's going to come up, and then the calf is going to come down here, so like kind of like that. And while it looks like I'm filling in the outlines of your character, which is good, but it's the shaping that you have. And then here, if you're going to bring this down, it's going to come a lot more down, because right now it looks like he's almost squatting. So this piece would come down here and then build in the knee, and then it would come down a lot further down. So those are things that you want to take care of. As the other thing too is your dogs in the background have a very weird. So like this is good, and I get that this is the body, but then you've got this figure coming back here and this figure coming back here. It looks like they're conjoined in the back, and so I would fix that. The other issue you have is you have a lot of tangents going on. You have a tangent here, you have a tangent here, you have a tangent here, you have a kind of a tangent there. It's not reading well. So there's a lot of things that I'm looking at, like here, this shape here and this body here create a tangent. And so you have a lot of these little tangents all over the place, and I would definitely fix those up as well. Also, things like paying attention to like putting a spine in here, and knowing that the spine would go before the throat, because this is the esophagus here. So you'd want to get more anatomy-based stuff here, like this. The other thing is the kind of perspective of this weapon here. Um, it's flat, but it's not flat. So what I mean by that is here you're looking at straight, the diagonals that you need, and that's fine, but then you don't put this part in perspective, and then this part right here, it's not in perspective, and then this part here would also, I would see more of the foreground, and it would be bending back into this. So it's the way you got your perspective. This part is going a little bit forward, like so, and then the handle would be also in perspective as well. So which basically means, like, if I'm drawing this, even if I'm putting that cornered like so, then it's the way this is gripped. It almost feels like it's going vertical instead of this horizontal nature. And I think it's mainly the way it's shaded, and mainly the way the hand is turned. And then the other thing is this tire is just floating here. I have no sense and no feeling why this tire is sitting on his shoulder. I get you're trying to make it armor, but like at least here shows a strap. I'd probably put another strap here to give it a little bit of a sense of feeling. But this is just kind of floating on his shoulder. So that's another thing that I would definitely look at fixing. Here the belt is going around, but the belt goes like this, and when it should go like this, and then defined, because the belt sits up on the waist, not in that aspect. Same thing over here. You need to straighten that belt out. I mean, you've got a good sense of color and you've got a good sense of tone and stuff like that, but you've got a lot of like small technical issues that I would definitely fix. Um, like your chain is kind of floating, and how are you putting this chain around these heads? Is it going through? If it's going through, you want to add blood, and maybe a spike or something like that you shoved it through, and grabbed it through the other side. Maybe that's something you want to add on there, or and that's a little bit of the story, but it'll kind of sell it a little bit more. And then I would put a little bit more blood down here, even if it's leaking through or whatever. And then maybe gave up a little bit of a fight, so put some scrapes and scars and maybe a gash type of thing going on, where they actually got into the battle. And those are things that I would add, definitely add. Um, but the big thing is fix the anatomy, and then adjust this axe type of thing here going on, and then I would definitely fix the perspective, or this character. So like if you're this is a dog standing up, you want to add the feet kind of behind it, and that gives the character a little bit more depth. And then break this out as a separate element. You've already got the overlapping from the gun, so that's okay. And then this over here, you can actually have, but I would put an end to the character so that you can see the end, and don't just kind of blend the two shapes together. And then I know you're fading out this one because of depth perception, but I wouldn't fade it out that much. It's very, very dramatic, very muted in the background, and it almost looks like a background tone. So I would go in there and definitely play with that a little bit more, especially when you are putting these uh, tusks here. I would put these tusks a lot closer, put more detail, brighten them up, especially here too. Put more detail and brighten them up, and darken them up, to give it that look like they're coming forward, and then more depth on the bottom, and maybe a little bit of even reflection on the tusks themselves. So those are things that I would kind of work with overall. I think, like I said, you have a good texture, you have good form and stuff like that on the thing, but the anatomies needs a lot of fixing, and then there's just supplemental points and perspective and stuff that need to be tweaked. All right.